welcome again to the VibeHunters podcast. I'm Natty and...
I'm Alex.
Yeah, and today we are discussing a very nice album from the past. It's called A Night at the Opera by Queen.
Which is like one of my...
Alex, take it away.
Yeah, it's actually, like by Queen, as Nat said, it's actually one of my... It's not my all-time favourite Queen album, but I'm a massive Queen fan in general. The cool thing about this album is that at the time when they recorded it, they weren't making any money at all, and basically it was at the point where they were considering breaking up, possibly, if their next album didn't do well enough. They did have a couple big hits, but they hadn't had their big monster hit yet. And basically they were treating this as their last chance to actually do it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, like, I did actually hear that, like, they weren't making a lot of money from any of their albums at all. I think, like, was it because of their manager, or...?
Yeah, actually, that leads us straight into the first track, actually. Because basically what had happened was they signed a deal with this management company. I can't remember the specifics exactly, but they basically they weren't giving them. They were only giving them a little bit of money and taking all the money and all the royalties and stuff like that. And they should have been at the time been doing really big, like earning the big bucks, but the management company kept stealing the money basically. I think in one of the documentaries that I watched, it basically they weren't letting Roger Taylor, the drummer, actually buy drumsticks, and like because they cost too much money. But then like they would go outside and the managers like bought a new car, like a really super expensive car. And in the end, I believe they got frustrated and left that company. And kind of as a bit of a fuck you to those particular people, Freddie Mercury actually wrote the song "Death on Two Legs," and it's basically a huge fuck you to them, basically saying that they're like the worst people ever and whatever. They basically, yeah, that's pretty much the backstory of that song.
Yeah, I think it was called Trident Studios, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
that's where they ended their contract from.
I believe it was. Yeah.
And everything from this particular album was recorded with a different place, except one of the songs. I think it was "God Save the Queen," which was recorded there, but it was recorded. It was recorded
before, way before.
Yeah.
Which I will get into. We'll get into once we do it. So, what did you think of the song?
The thing, like, with this entire album, actually, before I get into this song, it's always had a sort of homey sound to me, because at this point I've gotten very used to, like, that old classic rock sound. But still, like, listening to it today, this track still sounds very fresh for, like, a track that's, like, how old now, you know?
Nearly over 50 years?
Yeah, like,
yeah, actually just under 50.
I really love how they use choruses.
Oh, you mean like the harmonies?
I just love how they use like the choruses.
Yeah.
Yeah, the harmonies, like the way they just do that.
Yeah.
How they do the harmonies. It's like a very Queen thing, but it does fit this song very well.
It was actually the first actual album, and this is actually what my dad has told me on many occasions. Because I'm a Queen fan as much as my dad. My dad, like, he grew up listening to this album. This is like the album that made him get into Queen, and he like they actually don't know where I was going with that, to be honest. But yeah, it's a great album. How about the actual tracks in like the stuff in the song? Like, is there any particular parts of the song you really like?
It's like besides the harmonies.
I mean, I guess I can go with what my opinion, if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
so,
we should let
yeah. I really like how, because another kind of thing is like Freddie, like more so than probably the other guys, really felt cheated when it came to that stuff. And if you listen to like the way he even articulates and sings the song, you can actually feel the venom in it, you know. And
it feels like he's going through some sort of breakup, which is essentially what I thought this song was about.
No, yeah, it's pure rage. It's pure rage. Yeah, it was like a diss song before there was a diss song. You know what I mean? It was a diss track before it was a diss track.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's always always really like the song. I don't know, I just always have. I really like how at the very start of the song, how the piano comes in, how it just really, really goes in there, gets really into it like pretty quickly. Like, I mean, it's kind of quiet, and then it just comes in, and then the guitar comes in towards the start of the song. I also really like how Brian May plays the guitar in the song. Like, it's just harsh. Like, he plays it really, like, you know, he's trying to destroy that guitar, you know what I mean? Like, especially the guitar solo towards the end of the song. Yeah. I really, really like this song.
I definitely agree with you about the guitar solo.
Yeah.
The guitar solo is pretty passionate, yeah.
Pretty much anything that Brian May does is like such an icon. It's such an iconic Brian May guitar solo. Like, especially if you listen to a lot of Queen, like I do, and you can just you know that feel that you can really feel it. That's pretty much all I got on Death on Two Legs. I guess we'll move on to the next track.
Yeah, it's like that like that 1 minute one, like on a Sunday afternoon.
That actually has a really interesting backstory to that one, actually. Lazy on Sunday Afternoon, the way they actually recorded it was they basically recorded Freddie's audio and then into the control room, and then they fed it back into the recording studio, where it hit another recording thing that was fed through a tin can and out of the tin can into another recording thing, and that's the recording that they used to kind of give it that old-timey megaphone kind of style.
It was back in those days where you actually had to use physical like equipment or
they MacGyvered it. They literally MacGyvered it.
They did, man.
Yeah.
Like I'd imagine back in those days you did have to like MacGyver it quite a bit.
Yeah, they were very well known for doing weird shit like that. And they even did the guitar solo towards the end the exact same way. They used the same style, same trick. And yeah, it was a really, really, really cool idea. And I always liked how happy-go-lucky that guitar solo is. You know, I always liked that song. I don't know.
Do you know anything about the lyrics behind it?
No, I don't know much about it.
Yeah, because I know it's not like the most like intense thing in the world, but it's just telling this like little story.
Yeah, the guy's weak. Again, the lyrics itself is very Freddie Mercury. Like it's you know, kind of flamboyant, kind of happy kind of thing. Like you listen to other songs that they've done, it's very much like very much like that. Especially in the way he lyrics it, the way he writes the song. Yeah, his delivery. And I just really love that. I love that song. Like, I love pretty much all these songs in this album. Like I said,
I think for this one, like.
No, go ahead.
Like the sing-song sort of delivery, like combined like this like adorable little story. It makes me like happy every time I listen to it.
It's I always like that song, and I really like how the song leads straight into the third track as well. Like with because like it kind of goes dun, 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 and then it just hits you straight away with that next song. Did you never notice that?
Yeah.
Like how the first three tracks of the song, of the album is like they all kind of lead into each other a little bit. Maybe not so much on the first to the second one, but the second to the third. The third song is actually my favorite song on the album. It's actually my favorite Roger Taylor song in particular, as well. It's actually like one of those songs. I want to hear your thoughts on that song first.
Oh, you mean I'm in love with my car?
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, like it surprisingly sounds a bit more modern.
Yeah.
And like I would have said it was like if I didn't know it was made in like 1975, I would have guessed it's around about maybe the early 80s.
I to be honest, yeah, it
like,
sounds like that. Yeah. I totally agree.
Like it's kind of like it's almost like stylized to be like a sort of 80s hard rock song before that was even a thing.
Yeah, well, they were actually considered a metal band back in the day, so it doesn't surprise me. So it's actually kind of an interesting story. I don't know if you heard of it. I don't know if all of it's completely true, but it's definitely something that any person who's listened to Queen knows about it. So Roger Taylor wrote the song, and apparently he wrote it as like a kind of like a tribute to one of his friends, but Brian always said that we all know it's about Roger, because apparently Roger is a car guy apparently, and he apparently fought really hard for it to be Bohemian Rhapsody's B-side on the album when they released Bohemian Rhapsody as a single. Did you know that?
No, actually.
Okay. So and apparently, go ahead.
It'd be a very strange fit. I think it like could have worked.
Well, it ended up being the B-side. It is the B-side for it. Yeah.
Yeah, like that would be a bit of a strange fit.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. If you watch the movie, they kind of poke fun at the whole thing as well. Like there's a scene in Bohemian Rhapsody where they're arguing about the song, and like Brian May kind of saying it's a really dumb idea, and Roger's like really trying to fight hard for it. But apparently, in the end, Roger Taylor ended up locking himself in a closet until they let him do it. Apparently. That's an actual...
Allegedly.
I can't remember if they actually confirmed that. It might have. But yeah. But what I like about the song, because like, I really like... The other funny thing about this song is I never realized it was a Queen song when I was a kid. Because...
Yeah, like I said before, it doesn't sound like a Queen song. Like, it sounds like an 80s hard rock song.
Yeah, but like in the sense that I didn't realize that pretty much every singer except for every person in the band except for John Deacon sung. I never realized that as a kid, and I had heard the song many times. Like I said, I grew up listening to the Queen, so I never realized this was a Queen song until I actually.
I don't think I'd blame your younger self though.
Yeah, I was in my late teens when I realized that it was actually a Queen song. Anyway, so the thing I like about it is that it does have kind of like a waltzing kind of beat to it. And according to Roger Taylor, he actually said that he purposely wanted to make it sound not like a typical rock song. So he kind of purposely made it kind of waltzy, because it does have a waltzy kind of feel if you really think of the song. think of it.
Yeah.
And when they actually play live, it's actually from what I hear, is a very technically difficult song to play. Like on the drums, it's very difficult to play. Apparently, he plays it and sings the song while they're playing when they play it live. So he plays the song as they're so he does it live. And like even to this day, they still play it live. It's a absolute crowd thing. It's like probably Roger Taylor's most famous song that he wrote that he did for Queen that wasn't sung by Freddie Mercury. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of the heavy drumming and the heavy guitars, especially since when I was listening to it initially, I was playing the drums and I kind of was like, and to be honest, I think he's a god on the drums. Anyway, so that's pretty much all I got on that one. Alright, so do you want to go on to the next track? You're My Best Friend. Which is true.
Yes,
Nats is my best friend.
Yeah, you're my best friend. Look, if it wasn't a song about his wife, I reckon this would be like a really good...
Yeah, I mean...
If it wasn't a song about like one of the band members' wives and like...
Yeah. John Deacon, the voice, is one of those, I don't know, what's the right word? He's like I think they actually referred to him on the documentary I was watching as the dark horse of the band, because he just writes these mega hits randomly, pretty much.
Yeah, I was gonna...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you about that actually, because I forgot who was like the guy that like did like those like hits in the background.
Yeah, you know, Another One Bites the Dust?
Yeah, he did that one as well.
He wrote that. He wrote I Want to Break Free. I believe he wrote that one. I can't remember a couple of other ones, but like I know One of the Break Free is definitely a John Deacon song. Yeah. Towards the latter half of their career, they tend to come up with they tend to write songs together and credit everybody. But yeah, I know there's a couple others, but most of the big songs were like Roger Taylor or Brian May wrote it, or yeah. But he would have like a couple songs that were just like pure gold. Yeah. So tell me what you thought about the song. I actually really don't have much on it, to be honest.
It's a very I think I really, a lot of this album actually has like a lot of these songs that are like very like bubbly and nice, but this one's particularly especially bubbly and nice. I mean, it's a song about like, you know, a guy like singing a song dedicated to his wife.
You'll find that a lot of Queen songs are like that.
Sorry?
You'll find a lot of Queen songs are like that. That's kind of what their thing. Yeah.
I know, but like...
Yeah, I just... Yeah. Yeah.
It almost sounds very dreamy.
That would probably be the right...
Like this particular song almost...
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know, you're just with this person and you really like them, and I think they're really conveyed very well, like this sort of the dreamy aspect to being, you know, in love with someone and married with someone.
Yeah.
Very cute.
A lot of the songs, like I said, a lot of Queen songs have that feel. Like it's a hard, maybe not. It's a hard life. Save Me, probably another one. Spread Your Wings, maybe. Like, there's a lot of them. There's another song later on this album that really does have that same feel to it, actually. To be honest, I haven't got much on this song. It was actually the second single off the album. It followed Bohemian Rhapsody, which is, yeah, I mean, that song was a monster. That song is a monster in general. But yeah, it was the second single. I really like the keyboard. The keyboard playing that John Deacon does in the
sort
song.
of like springy sort of like
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm trying to describe it.
Yeah.
Because it's that. I think that keyboard is like what makes it. Like,
it's what sells it. I think that's what sells it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, like it definitely like makes that more dreamy. And I've heard it in like more modern. I've heard like a similar sort of timbre in like modern songs.
Yeah.
Where they use that sort of thing. But I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Even though it has like a thin timbre, so like the way it sounds rather thin, but it also has like reverb on it. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but anyways, I really do think that keyboard combined with like the happy people singing and like I said, like the harmonies as well. I also go through a lot of the songs in this album.
I've noticed
they really just sell it on the dreamy aspect.
I noticed that this song's used a lot in like Simpsons. I've noticed there's a couple episodes where they use that song. Apparently, it was a pretty big hit in the US. Apparently.
Oh.
And like I said, it was on the Simpsons.
I think I've heard it like playing an ad before.
Yeah, it's a very big song. I mean, it's no Bohemian Rhapsody, but yeah. Okay, I guess we'll move on. 39. So the kind of cool thing about this one, it kind of shows what Brian May's education is, in a sense of the storytelling, because he, I don't know if you know this, but he's actually a scientist as well. Like he's a doctor. He's got a doctorate, and I think he's an astrophysicist.
So,
Brian May.
Is that Brian?
Yes.
Brian May? Or was it else?
No, it's Brian May. He actually, after he got big, he actually went back and got his doctorate, finished his, because they were in college when they first made the band. He actually went back and got his doctorate in astrophysics, I believe it was. And he was telling, when I was watching that documentary and when he was talking about it, it's just like the way he was explaining it, because of the storyline in the song is like these travelers, these guys, go on a ship and they go in there faster than try to go faster on light, and they go for a year and they come back, but it's 100 years in the future, and all their families are gone. Like, if you listen to the lyrics, especially, like, that's kind of the story that they're trying to convey. And with Brian May singing in this song, it's like really kind of eerie. It's a really eerie song. Especially like once you hear.
And I was always wondering about the story because
it's an interesting story. I really like the acoustic guitar.
I heard that because this is one of the more
complicated ones.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is one of the more like ballady tracks, but also like it did sound very eerie, especially in the chorus where.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, if you actually kind of know what
they're like a bunch of volunteers that left, but they came back and.
Yeah, it's 100 years. Yeah, but like to be honest, the way he said like it could have been a movie.
100 years later.
Yeah, but for them it was a year.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of creepy stuff, huh? I really like how he uses the guitar in it. It's actually something they play pretty frequently live. To this day. They usually, when they play it live, they usually have Brian on guitar, and I think they kind of bring like a bass drum out, and Roger plays the bass drum and then kind of has a tambourine that he plays with. But like I said, Brian May sings in that song. Like I said, they all sung except for John Deacon, which is really cool. But yeah, I haven't really got much else on that besides the whole backstory of what the song's actually about.
But honestly, that's actually like really kind of fascinating lyrics, because I was wondering like
what the lyrics were about.
What do they mean? They're in like the land that their grandchildren knew. Yeah, like it's like it has a very prog rock sort of sound to it too, like a prog rock ballad.
A lot of bands,
like with the whole dreamy effect.
A lot of bands aspire to be like, they influence a lot of bands. They probably influence that whole genre, possibly, with some of their songs.
I guess that's the sound that I hear through a lot of this album.
Yeah.
I guess because I'm very used to that sound and I really like that sound. I've had other bands, and there's like another song later down this album that actually really reminds me of like one of my favorite prog bands from the 70s.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, did you want to move to the next song?
Yeah, okay. So the next song is called Sweet Lady. Another Brian May song. This is one of those songs where I don't know much about. I have not much information about it, but I like the guitar in it. The guitar in it is really heavy. Again, you can really tell that's a Brian May song. And I really like how it changes towards the chorus. You know, the whole, how the guitar just changes. It kind of gives me that Brian Rock, which is another song off another one of their albums called Brian Rock. It really has a Brian Rock kind of style.
Yeah, it really does sound like an 80s song before its time, like that song.
Yeah.
The Sweet Lady. This song really...
They were ahead of their time. They were definitely ahead of their time.
It's similar to... Yeah, it's similar to In Love With My Car.
Yeah.
But ironically enough, I kind of, didn't really pick up on those songs in the first listen, because I thought, it's just, another 80s song, because I've heard so many of those. And then, I realised
1975.
It came out way earlier before, and it was really doing something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good song. Probably the least memorable song from the album, in my opinion. But yeah, I really like that song. Do you have anything else on this particular track?
I don't really think so. Do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, okay, so next one's actually a really kind of cool one. I know a bit about this one. It's called Seaside Rendezvous. So this is another Mercury one. So you know how they, towards the end, they kind of have trumpets and shit in the middle, towards the middle of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually Roger and Freddie Mercury making those sounds.
Wait, really?
Yeah. It was a whole thing, yeah. They were making those sounds. So apparently they were, goofing around. And yeah, they decided to do that. And actually the whole they even were making noises by hitting the what's it called? The table with their fingers as well. Yeah, and they were just they were going stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they basically just made, kind of shows what they're capable of doing. Like I said, they experiment, especially in their earlier albums.
Honestly, one of my favorite things is when bands do that and then they strike gold. Especially this song sounds like it has that sort of vaudeville vibe with the intro, and it does really make you think of going to a beach or something.
Yeah. And
everyone's there and everyone's having fun.
The lyrics are very Freddie as well. Again, the style of rock, his style of writing is very You can instantly tell that's a Freddie Mercury song. But they always did that stuff. It's like they always did that. like they would always kind of push the envelope on what they can and can't do. Especially with a couple tracks on this album. They really pushed some of the stuff to absolute limit. Alright, I think that's all I got. I also like the whistle as well. You know that towards the end of the song where it's I really like that. I thought that was a little touch. They have a habit of just like showing one thing and then never like reintroducing it later. They always try to change things up. That's a really good example of one, actually. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got on the album. On the song, sorry.
I think maybe you want to go to the next song, which is like
your favourite song of the album. It's probably my second favourite. To be completely honest.
Song.
Yeah, so... Okay,
it's my favourite song.
Did you want to talk a bit about it first before I tell you about the cool shit that they did with it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I really love it because it reminds me of Uriah Heep and the sort of like progressive sound that they had in the 70s, and it does remind me of one of their bigger tracks. Oh damn, the name is like slipping me, but it reminds me of
Is this for Another Queen song?
Uriah Heep's song where he talks about a lady cloaked in black that, like, you know, is
Doesn't
all wise to it. Like Uriah Heep was one of those bands that wasn't as popular, and they were more chasing after like Deep Purple and stuff, which Deep Purple really was doing like that sort of stuff in the early 70s. But anyway, none of that. It just really reminds me of like, because this song, the Prophet song, the way it starts and the way the guitars kick in, it's very similar.
Yeah.
The way the lyrics are like, the way the lyrics delivered, they're like, it's a sort of chant almost.
Yeah.
And it makes it very memorable.
Especially towards the middle.
Yeah,
that shit gets weird. It gets weird. Okay, so the start of the song, the kind of guitar thing at the start of the song, I can't remember what it's called, but it's some sort of Japanese instrument that they were using. According to Brian May, they were really heavily influenced by Japan. Because before they did this album, they toured Japan, and like at the time they were huge in Japan. Like they had, they that's where they got big first. Like were big. It was like the first place they actually did well. And so the song was actually originally called "People of the Earth." Brian May actually came up with the song from a dream, apparently. Like little bits and pieces, and you kind of got the basic skeleton of it. And apparently they were already doing like preview releases of the album, and they were still recording the album. They hadn't finished writing this. Well, they finished writing it. They were in the process of mixing it, I think. So they didn't have the full version of the song basically at the time when they were even doing press releases for it before the album came out. The bit towards the middle, like with the whole delay, the whole kind of echoey kind of bit, the whole echoey kind of thing. Okay, so they used one of those delay machines. You know, one of those guitar.
Is it not like the now we know and now we know?
Yes, I'm talking about that bit. Yeah, yeah. So songs like "Now I'm Here," like Now I'm Here. It's another Queen song. I'm trying to think of a good example. So basically, there's this thing that the guitar players have where they play a note and then it kind of repeats a note on a speaker and then it plays on another speaker. So it kind of gives that like kind of like they're playing the same, multiple people playing it, but like slightly delayed. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So basically, they took that concept and basically, instead of the guitar, they used Freddie Mercury's voice. So like they would record,
so like a delay or something.
Yeah, so like it would record the initial him initially singing it, then it would record, then it would play on the speaker to his left, right, and they would record that. Yeah. Anyway, so like then it'll like record that, and then it would record on the third one. So then there'll be 3 people talking.
We were talking about.
Yeah, so like they would it would delay. It would play like slightly delayed, and then like they would do that, and then they would do that, and then he would sing the next line, and then it would all kind of give that weird vibe to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how they did the harmonies for that song, and yeah, and I really love the guitar in it as well, like, and the drums, especially towards the chorus.
Yeah. My favorite bit of the song is when... Yeah.
No, go ahead.
My favorite bit of the song is when, like... Sorry. Sorry, I want to talk about it, but I get so excited. My favorite part of the song is, like, just the guitar really just carrying it, just being very rhythmic. Yeah. Like when the electric guitar comes in and just carries the rhythm, it just... I really love that when songs do that, because it really just has a lot... It starts to bring, like, a lot of energy to it.
I really like how the guitar comes in, like, after that whole delay thing, and they're just doing that, and it's like, whatever the last bit is, and then it just, like, the vocal stop and the guitar just comes in. You know, like, dun.
Yeah, that bit too. That's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it's a really good song. It's actually, like, one of my favourite songs on the album. I know it's my dad's, like, favourite Queen song of all time. I could be wrong. It changes day to day, because my dad's like that. It blew his mind the first time he heard it, apparently.
Like, I wouldn't say it's my all-time favourite Queen song. I'd say I'd really liked it, though. Like I said, it really did...
Could have easily been the Bohemian Rhapsody of the album. Could have easily. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if Bohemian Rhapsody wasn't there, then I'd really fucking love this song.
Yeah. That was a whole can of worms as well, actually, which we'll get into. I guess we'll move on to the next song, which is
so the next song is Love of My Life, and this one, like... Yeah.
No, I'll let you go first, because this one's kind of a famous one as well.
Sad, bro.
Why does it make you sad?
I mean, I am I'm a softie to ballads as is. But like I do really like the way Freddie Mercury sings things in general, and he's like one of those voices that I really tune into. So like.
Yeah.
When he's singing about something sad, like, I just really pick up on it.
I don't think it's a sad song, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's a love song,
like,
right? It's a love song. But that's a very interesting take on it. I never really figured that song. I never really thought of it that way, you know what I mean? Yeah.
The way he's singing this particular ballad, like, sounds like if he sung, like, sorry. It sounds more sad, though.
I think it's probably because of the undertone.
The way, like, everything...
It's probably the undertone.
Yeah, like, the way, like, even, like, the way the harmonies are layered. Yeah, and...
Which kind of makes sense considering...
Yeah, it just sounds
topic.
sad.
I think it's partly because at the time he was actually in a relationship with someone, Mary Austin, who's actually, like I said, like the love of his life, quite literally. And this was around, I don't know if it was right around the time, but it was during that period where he was trying to figure out his identity, his sexuality. But I think that probably played a part in it, possibly. But the song is like, it's a love song to her, basically. But the cool thing about this song is actually became a concert staple for him, for Queen in general. So like, you know how bands kind of sing the song and they get the crowd, they come along, or like sing with them, or sing the lyrics of the song. You know how they do that?
Yeah, so basically, yeah.
So
yeah,
this was one of the first songs to really do that. Like, nobody really did that before the song came out. And so when he would sing it, there was a whole part in the entire movie. It was, in Bohemian Rhapsody, there's a whole scene about it. So like
it's so bizarre because like people like usually do that all the time now.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing back then.
Sorry.
No, I know, it's crazy. I know it's crazy. And like this song wasn't even a single as well, so which is even crazier. So like he would sing the song and like he'll go, you know, love of my life, leave me, you know. And like so like he would stop singing and like he would start conducting the crowd, sort of. And that was something that Freddie Mercury was like the master at. Like he could work a crowd really well.
Yeah.
He could make, you know, that was just what he did, like Live Aid. Just Live Aid in general. If you you know much about Live Aid?
Live Aid?
Yeah. We should do an episode on that sometime.
Like that was that one concert you told me where like
they were,
like you said, I remember you telling me about that concert.
Yeah, so for people who don't know about that thing, it was a concert. I can't remember. It was a charity concert, and they would have, and they at the time weren't as big as they used to be. Like they had a couple of hits, but they hadn't really had any major album releases. Like they had a couple really big hits, but they were kind of at that stage of their career where interest was kind of waning. So I had to take a drink. So they hadn't even been touring. They hadn't even been recording or anything, or touring or anything like that. And they were asked to do Live Aid. And basically they had 20 minutes to, they had 20-minute sets. And I think it was like a couple, 50 or 60 different bands playing. It was kind of like, it was a festival. And they came out and they literally stole the show. It was actually like considered to be one of the greatest moments in music history, kind of thing. But yeah, you should watch that video. It's on YouTube.
I honestly that's just one of the things I guess people take I took for granted. Like when bands would do that.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, they were one of the first to do it, and it's become such a staple now that at live concerts they still do it to this day, like 50 years later. And actually, when they do it live, they don't actually do piano; they do it as an acoustic song. They have an acoustic guitar. I think Brian May plays a 12-string on it. 12-string acoustic guitar. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what else. But yeah, it's like it's such a huge.
Do you think we should move to the next song?
Oh, I'm not finished. Yeah, so it's like a staple for the concert. So like, there's a couple songs that whenever they do a Queen concert, you know that they're going to play. They're going to play Bohemian Rhapsody. They're going to play We Will Rock You. We Are the Champions. Love of My Life is another one of those songs. You know what I mean? Yeah, even God Save the Queen's actually.
Concert staple.
It's like a big moment usually when they do it. Yeah, it's a big moment. If you watch any of their concerts, like you kind of know when it's about to go down, because like Brian May comes out and sits down on an acoustic guitar, and they just know that song's going to come on. Anyway, yeah. So I guess we'll move on to the next one. This is another cool one, actually. Okay, so this song at first glance doesn't seem that special. Like if you kind of go like, it kind of got cool things in it, but in this one,
it seems like another one of those like Seaside Rendezvous and
so
Sunday Afternoon. It just seems like another addition to that.
So with Good Company, so it kind of at first glance, at first listen, you don't realize there's nothing much to it. Really, it kind of seems like just a normal song, which don't you agree with that?
Yeah.
You know how towards the middle of the song they have like trumpets and a couple other instruments and the bell sound that they have?
Oh yeah?
Yeah, you know how they have that? Yeah. So they're not actually they're not trumpets or a bell or anything like that. They're actually Brian May's guitar.
What? Really?
Yeah, he basically played it in a way that kind of made it sound like a trumpet or bell sounds and stuff like that, to kind of give it that weird feel. So that is all just Brian May playing with the guitar, making all those weird effects and stuff. He literally pushed his because you know he's got that famous guitar, the Red Special. He basically pushed it to its absolute limit in that song. Yeah. I also like
I wonder how he did it then.
He explained it on the documentary, but I can't remember the specifics off the top of my head. But yeah, he like I said, they would create he could literally make that thing scream. He was probably one of the few guitarists that I know of that could actually pull something like that off. And that's saying something. I also like how they use a ukulele at the start of the song, which was kind of a thing they do. They would do that.
Yeah.
They would throw in weird shit like that. But yeah, that all the trumpets, all the bell sounds, you know, the that was his guitar. That was his guitar. That was him just playing around with it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know, it's a very, very lesser known fact about it, but it's a really, really, really cool.
I must say though that this. Yeah.
I told you this album, there's a lot more to what it seems. It's more than it seems.
I will say though that this song has a bit more of a. It sounds a bit more like proggy than Seaside Rendezvous and Lazy on a Sunday Afternoon. This one sounds a bit more proggy.
I would say that
proggy like dream sound.
Brian May has a tendency to write songs like that. That's just his style for writing. There's like other songs that he's done that kind of had that same kind of thing, like "Driven by You," which is like one of his songs from like one of his solo records, which is very much like that. He has a tendency to write songs like that. It's just his thing. That's just
It makes me wonder what he's in.
What his logic behind it is. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Sorry, and it makes me really wonder what he's influenced by.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. He's like I said, he plays all. He writes very interesting songs. Very they're like pure musicians. They write very complex songs. Like a lot of their stuff is very complicated. Like especially like if you kind of know a little bits about the stuff that's going on in the background. But that's a really cool fact about it. I guess we'll move on to the highlight, I guess, of the show.
Yes, the main
event, the pièce de résistance.
And you never realise when you've learnt the entire song, but you always know the song.
Yeah, it's one of those songs where you just like, you hear 2 seconds of it and like, yeah, that's pretty. Knew. Yeah, go ahead.
Not even that, like, it's just everyone plays it and everyone knows it and no one knows. Everyone plays it, everyone knows it, and no one knows how, like, they've learned it.
Oh, how Freddie came up with it.
I listened to a lot of Queen growing up, so I don't understand how I've known this song. I don't think I've listened to it that much in its entirety as well.
It's a weird one. It's definitely an interesting song. Like I said, no one really knows what the song's actually about, because Freddie Mercury never revealed it. It's kind of like he never revealed it. But the thing about this song is it was actually one of the first song to ever reach the top 10 of charts in 3 separate decades.
And of course the song is, we're talking about Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, yes, sorry. No, if anyone doesn't know, that's Bohemian Rhapsody we're talking about. Yeah. It was a number one. It was number one hit when it first came out, and then when Wayne's World came out, it became a hit again. And then I think it kind of creeped back up again around the time Freddie Mercury died. But I think that was around the time that Bohemian Rhapsody, because Wayne's World and Bohemian Rhapsody, that him dying wasn't that long far off. I don't think it was even out yet when Freddie died. But from what I hear, there was like a kind of backstory where they asked if they could do Bohemian Rhapsody, and then Freddie got a copy of the movie before it came out, and apparently thought it was one of the funniest movies ever made, apparently. And then when Bohemian Rhapsody the movie came out, it became a hit again, because they spent like a good 20 minutes on that bit. It was a big moment in the movie, actually. But the interesting thing, the other thing about it was the music video that they released for it. You see the video?
Oh, is that the one where they're all just kind of like standing and singing and it's in the dark? Yes.
Oh, also, side note, that was actually the album cover for the second album as well. They did that same thing, and then just
okay.
Yeah. The reason they actually made that video clip was because they were supposed to be playing on Top of the Pops, and they couldn't make it that night, so they made a video. And it actually popularized music videos. That particular song, that video. No one did music videos back then, and that was like the first one where it was like, oh, that's a cool idea. Everyone's going to do it now. So, yeah. Another interesting thing about it is that it took them 3 weeks to record the song, and at the time, 3 weeks is about as long as it would take to cut a whole album. And they did so many overdubbings that the actual record thing actually started to break apart. That they were using the tape.
Yeah, I think wasn't the tape started to wear out or something?
Yeah, because they overdubbed it like 150 times or something. And yeah, especially in the operatic section, more so. When it was written, it was actually called Freddie's Song. They didn't come up with it until much later. Another thing is, so the story about how it got released is actually really interesting. Because back in those days, they didn't, typically singles go about 2-3 minutes, tops. And the record label actually tried to talk them into actually cutting down that version of the song. Cutting out the whole, 2 minutes of the song to make it shorter. But Freddie, heavily fought it, and apparently, it was a whole thing, and they were trying not to do it. They said they weren't going to let him release the album, and they did this whole thing And then they had a record. They had a guy that did radio. That was a friend of theirs, and Freddie Mercury gave him a copy of Bohemian Rhapsody, like the album Bohemian Rhapsody, and the guy proceeded to play not to play on live, but I think it was because he wanted to play it live. And the guy proceeded to play it live, the song on the radio 30 times over a course of 2 days. And basically, record label relented then.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's the kind of shit that would get you fired back in those days. But yeah, that's what they did. But the things I like about the song is the operatic section is the holy shit. You can't not listen to that song and not sing along with it. It's against the law not to. It's actually illegal. As you know, Nats. It's illegal. And I really like the bass line in the opening part of it. Playing the bass and stuff like that in general, I just like the bass in it. And I like his style, John Deacon's style, and the piano playing in it. Pretty much the whole song, and especially the end part where they go into the hard rock section towards the end of it. Yeah, but what do you think of the song?
That was listening to your story before, man, you cannot cut this song down. You have to listen to the entire thing. It's one of those songs you have to go from start to finish, and if you try cutting it or try going halfway through it just doesn't work. Yeah, in fact, they actually. The funny thing is when they first released the song, when they would play it live, they would actually go into the Prophet song. In the middle bit for the operatic thing because they couldn't figure out. They go into Prophet song. So they couldn't figure out how to do the opera bit live. It took them a while to figure out. Nowadays they just play the track, right? Back when they first started, they used to just play the first song, the first half of the song, and then they would lead into a Prophet song or another song, and then as that song's reaching the crescendo, they'll jump back in to the actual end part of the song. That's what they used to do live, but eventually they just made it so it was they just play the whole song in its entirety. Yeah, but when it came to releasing it as a single, apparently John Deacon did a cut where they cut the whole operatic section out, and then Freddie hitched a huge fit about it. Apparently, you can't do it. What, he hitched a huge.
He was not happy. He was not a happy camper.
Honestly, this song is so mysterious because no one knows what it's about.
Exactly.
It seems to have a story, but it could also just been written out of thin air and not really mean anything. Yeah. So no one ever knows, and the guy who read it, who knows, dead.
Never told anyone anyway. A lot of people have tried to analyze it, and people have asked him, but he was like, I don't know.
It's it's like Queen's Ghost Love Score,
Yes.
No one will ever know what it is, what it means, and it looks like it's written out of thin air.
Yeah.
But
it does that to you, especially knowing the stuff in the background of it at the time. I guess with
in the beginning, yeah.
No, finish your thought. Finish your thought.
In the beginning, it sounds like it's a personal story, and then it turns into this whole dramatic opera about this, personal story. And then near the end of it, it goes back to that person as if they've had some sort of change or something in them.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just can't figure anything else about it. It seems nonsensical. I'm sorry.
I think that was the point.
I've listened to this song for many years.
I mean, I've known the song since I was a kid, so I've heard the song many, many times over the years, so I know exactly what you mean. There's not much else I've got on it. You could go on and on about about it for days if you really want to, but yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll go into the last song, which is also kind of interesting as well. It's called God Save the Queen. So, did you know that that's actually a cover of the British national anthem?
No.
It's actually the British. That's the British national anthem, but they Queenified it. It's the actual national anthem, and they actually were playing that version of the song back before they even released the album as their end of concert song. It's been their end of concert song since at least 1974. So like whenever they finish a concert, that's how you know the concert's ended, is when God Save the Queen comes on. But yeah, it's actually the British national anthem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's not much to say about it.
Obvious that I didn't pick up on it.
Well, I mean, we're not British. We don't live in England. We don't live in England, so it's like you wouldn't know that unless you knew the national anthem. But yeah, that is the national anthem. Depending on who's in charge at the time, it'll be God Save the Queen or God Save the King. So, but yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. Crazy, huh? Yeah, this album had a lot more to it than you really thought, didn't you? Didn't it?
It's unfortunate that, like, I didn't give it so much of a listen, like a scrub at, like, everything and written, like, meticulous notes and everything.
Oh.
And giving this a revisit wouldn't be a bad idea at some point.
To be honest, like, I knew most of the stuff before that. I actually had to refresh myself. Like, so I was watching documentaries and stuff to kind of remember how that stuff, what happened.
Yeah.
Because I know this, I'm very familiar with Queen in general, so, like, it's what I do. like Queen is my all-time favorite band. So... like, it's...
like, Queen is essentially, like...
yeah.
Your Nightwish, because, like...
yeah, pretty much.
Nightwish to me was, like, the massive sort of, like... yeah.
Yeah, and I know a little bit about Nightwish, but yeah. But, yeah, like... yeah, I know little tidbits, like... technically, Freddie Mercury was Indian, so... technically, so... yeah. And, yeah, I grew up in India, actually.
Is you want to do a summary?
Yeah, so, in summary, good album. Listen to it. Thumbs up. I'm recording.
In summary, for me, it was a...
sorry. Someone was trying to get in my room.
In summary, for me, it was a...
it's a ride. It's a ride. In
summary, for me, it was a lot more...
in depth.
It's a lot more interesting than I thought it would be.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, like, it's a great album. Like I said, it's not my all-time favourite Queen album, but it's definitely one of those albums I listen to maybe twice, 2-3 times a year. But, yeah.
It definitely defined a lot of things.
It set the standard. A lot of great albums. They came up with so much stuff. This is like pre We Are the Champions. Like, this is 4 years before that album, 3 or 4 years before that album came out. So, yeah, like, some of the greatest Queen songs they wrote came after this song, but some of the, like, it depends on which album you listen to, but it's always kind of a real trip listening to their albums. Yeah. But yeah, with that, I was going to do the Grumpy Q one's outro, which is kind of funny.
Do you want me to do the outro?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Alright, so this has been the VibeHunters podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope we'll see you next time.
Indeed.
Bye-bye.
Bye.